shuffling boots and stuff like that in a ski shop. But we sold skis and high-end bikes. So I eventually graduated into, leasing the skis and then selling the skis, snowboards, and bikes. And yeah, I spent about 10 years there because the beginning of my software career was unpaid. So I would take the train down to Wall Street Monday through Friday. That commute was like 2 to 2.5 hours, depending on how the schedules lined up each way. And luckily my parents helped me pay for that commute because that was like $250 a month just for the train, another $80 for the.
Welcome to the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another life-changing episode of the Gentleman's SHF Talk with Alex Ramirez. And today I have a very special guest, as always. I'm very excited to talk to him about high performance. Like I'm really passionate about this topic. Before I introduce him to you, though, I just want to give a big shout out to all of you who have been leaving comments, reviews, likes on all the major podcasting platforms, Google, Spotify, Apple, and to those who have been watching on YouTube as well. Thank you very much. And I just want to ask you that if you get some value out of this interview, if you get something out of it, you get some feeling, something that you're inspired to do, I want to ask you to please share with one friend. And this is how we grow. This is how we share our message. This is how we motivate, inspire, and bless other people to change their lives. So I know that 95% probably won't do that. Like 95% never take the time to like leave a comment, a review, or anything. But the 5% of you who do are the ones who make all the difference. And to you and to all of you, I say thank you. So today I have Mike. Man, your last name is I don't know. Can you like help me with that?
Yeah, it's Szczesniak.
Well, okay. I have Mike, and he's an entrepreneur, consultant, and coach. He's the president and head coach of the Results Engine, and where he helps D2D sales professionals scale their production and increase commissions by a minimum of 30% in 60 days or less. He's also the host of the top-rated podcast, the Results Engine podcast, and he's had a lot of the people that I've had on my podcast on his podcast. He's a high-performance coach. Really excited to talk to him. So, man, the definition of what I call a modern gentleman. He's been achieving his freedoms in the right order. So very excited to talk to you, man. Thank you very much for being here, and you're welcome.
Yeah, Alex, thanks for joining me, or thanks for having me, brother. This has been I've been looking forward to this conversation all week, and man, I'm excited to dive in.
Awesome, man. So the first thing that I do is I ask my guests to walk us through their entrepreneurial journey in 75 seconds or less.
Okay, so 75 seconds. I've always been the person that wanted to create something. So I started my first company. I put company in air quotes, but for anyone watching the video, I made duct tape wallets in 5th grade. That was awesome. I keep one on my desk every single day to remind me of that. So that's where it started. Started working retail in 8th grade, did that for 10 years through the beginning of my software career. My whole life revolved around where I could play soccer in college. And all I wanted to do back then was make a lot of money, retire young, and open a pit bull rescue foundation. Right? That was all I cared about as a kid. Dumb lucked my way into an engineering degree because my guidance counselor told me they made a lot of money. And then I took that degree and went straight down to Wall Street. I wrote code for a living for 7 years. I took all of that money and I pumped it into myself, my personal development, hired the coaches, joined the masterminds, all the above. I started 3 companies while I was in corporate America, the third of which was coaching and consulting, built it as a side hustle for a year and a half, finally dove off the cliff, figuring out how to fly on the way down after a year and a half. And that was about 4 years ago, 4 years ago. So it's evolved a ton in that time frame, but it's been an amazing journey. We've experienced some really amazing growth. Clients are crushing it. Team has grown exponentially in terms of, number of team members. So super, super blessed. And yeah, we have some big goals for this year as well. So that's about as concise as we can get there. The thing I didn't mention is the reason I got into this space was my personal journey with anxiety and panic attacks in my early 20s, which you can't really just gloss over that, even though I just did. So that was a big part of my journey. So happy to dive into anything that you think is most valuable for your audience today.
Awesome, man. Well, man, that was a lot, right? That you did, like the companies, the like jobs and things that you did. So man, how old are you right now?
I am 31.
Cool, 31. So it sounds to me like you're a high performer.
I like to think so. Yeah.
Ever since you started your like first company, duct tape and being in retail sales, right?
Yeah.
Eighth grade.
Yeah. I started, I started shuffling boots and stuff like that in a ski shop. But we sold skis and high-end bikes. So I eventually graduated into, leasing the skis and then selling the skis, snowboards, and bikes. And yeah, I spent about 10 years there because the beginning of my software career was unpaid. So I would take the train down to Wall Street Monday through Friday. That commute was like 2 to 2.5 hours, depending on how the schedules lined up each way. And luckily my parents helped me pay for that commute because that was like $250 a month just for the train, another $80 for the subway, and then $100 when I got the parking pass per month. And then I would work at the ski shop Monday through Friday just to have some money to, be able to pay for lunch or have a little bit of a social life, but yeah, it was, it started in 8th grade and went through there.
So man, so have you always been like that, or like where did you get this character traits of like wanting to work hard, of like ambition and wanting, like where did you get it from?
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I've asked myself that a lot. I think it's just kind of how I'm wired. Cause like, dude, I was very, very fortunate growing up. I grew up in a really nice area in New York. I wouldn't say spoiled, but like never went without anything I needed, like it wasn't necessarily like, oh, mom, I want this video game system. It was like, okay, you can work for that. I remember I bought my first scooter actually from the store that I ended up working at. Right. But I saved up like allowance. I did chores. I did whatever I could to earn some money. And I went and I bought this thing. And so, it was never going without anything that was absolutely necessary. But like, I don't, dude, why did I need money in 5th grade? Like, I don't know. I was just like, hey, I can make these duct tape wallets and I can sell them and earn some money. Like back then, bro, if I wanted to go to the movies, like my parents would have dropped my friends and I off, given me $10 and be like, I'll see you in 3 hours. Right. Like, so it was just something that was kind of just ingrained. I've always wanted to create. I've always wanted to create opportunity. I've always wanted to make money. Yeah, I wish I had a better answer for you.
Yeah, man, I feel the same because I'm Mexican, grew up in a Mexican household and everything, but like you could say that I was like poor, right? But I didn't know I was poor. Like I didn't feel like I never had, well, didn't have something that I need, right? Like I always had everything that I needed. I didn't know that I was poor. I didn't know that if you didn't make up above a certain level of income, you were poor. And I didn't grow up feeling like I needed everything, that I needed anything. But like ever since I was a little kid, like I started selling chips and candy at school because I went to school in the US, lived in Mexico, would cross back and forth. And I started selling like chips and candy at school in the US since like I was like 11, 12, 13, 14 years of age, right? So like would buy them at Mexico, cross them, sell them to kids for like $1 when I bought them from like 25 cents, and would make really good money, right? And I always had this sense of this like itch, I don't know how to call it, man, of wanting to be more, right? And wanting to do more. Yeah. Another example is like I started counting my calories when I was like 11 years of age. When I was like in 5th grade, 6th grade, started counting my calories. So I've been counting my calories ever since. And I for some reason I've just like gotten on a different path than my family. Like none of my family works out. None of my family counts their calories. None of my family talks to like super successful entrepreneurs every single, so like I don't know where I got this from either, right? And like it's been ingrained in me. So I also don't know like how to explain it. Like I wasn't raised as an entrepreneur, but yeah, man, interesting. Cool. So, and then another thing that jumps out, man, is like you did. So how many years you did the duct tape thing? Wallets?
Probably a year. Yeah,
okay.
oddly enough, like I brought two buddies on as like partners to like scale the operation, right? Um, and one of them actually got myself and the other guy our jobs at the ski shop. So it's just funny how it all works out. My buddy Greg was the one who got us the jobs, and Jake and I started the same exact day working at the ski shop. So it kind of all intertwines together, but we probably did that for under a year, I would say.
So one thing that jumps to me, like you did the retail job for like 8 years, 7 years,
10.
10 years. Yeah. Okay. 10 years. And then you did something else you mentioned for like 7 years. So it's not like you were jumping from thing to thing to thing. Right. So like, what did you, what can you tell me about like that focus? Like it's not common that someone starts doing something and they stick to it for like more than 5 years, more than 2.
Yeah, dude, honestly, I've never understood the job hopping culture. Like I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like I thrive in a team environment. I love connecting with people. I don't necessarily like to skip from thing to thing. And that's probably served me really well because it allows me to maintain that focus and like give something the time and energy. The flip of that is I've probably not overstayed my welcome, but like I've probably spent more time on things than I probably needed to at times. I probably could have pulled the plug earlier on some things, but dude, software engineering, like the tech culture, very job hoppy. Like people, the only way that people really go up the ladder is by skipping from company to company. So I literally had this conversation with my old boss, my old manager, and I was like, dude, when you hired me, how long did you expect me to stay? Right? Because I spent over 5 years at my last company. And the first two were that company that I was a part of. It was like unpaid training. And then we had to guarantee them a time window to be able to lock us into a contract with one of their clients. They unfortunately weren't able to do it because Hurricane Sandy happened in that time. The Northeast got crushed by Hurricane Sandy. Like we literally we had no power at our house for 13 days. And could barely, we live in a very wooded area, lots of trees. So trees were down everywhere. You couldn't even get out of the neighborhood. Right. So that allowed me to leave and find a new opportunity. But had that not happened, I would have gotten put in a contract and spent 2 or 3 years at that company, wherever the client was placed. Right. So it's just, again, it's been something that's been ingrained in me. Like I like surrounding myself with really powerful people, and I don't see a reason to leave before I don't want to pull that plug. Maybe it's a blessing, maybe it's a curse, sometimes probably both, but it's just how I am.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So then when you started to code, right, you said that you used all the money that you made coding to like start like investing in yourself, personal development, masterminds, which is something that I've been doing for the past 3 years. So how long? So you spent 7 years coding.
Uh-huh.
All right. From what age to what age?
Graduated, I guess I was 21 when I graduated. My first gig started in September after I graduated that previous June. So was 21 years old, 22 years old by the time I finally started. And then when I left corporate, I'm 31. I left corporate about 27, 28. Actually, no, it was 20. I had just turned 28 years old because I gave my notice 6 days after I got back from a trip to Fiji, and I turned 28 when I was down in Fiji. So yeah, I just left at 28.
Did the trip have anything to do with you turning like wanting to quit the job?
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, I always knew that I was going to be,
an entrepreneur,
wanting to leave. Like here's the thing for me. Like, so my favorite book of all time is a book called The Go-Giver by Bob Burg and John David Mann. By far, best book ever. I will debate that with anybody. And one of the principles that is shared in that book is something that I always knew to be true. They just put it in way better words than I ever could. And that what it basically said is your income is always going to be directly proportional to the number of lives that you touch in a positive way. Right. So I looked at the life I wanted to create, and I looked at how much money that would cost to create. I realized, wow, I need to solve some pretty freaking big problems. Like I need to help a lot of people. And I looked at some of the work I was doing in corporate. I'm like, the likelihood that I can get there, not really possible. Right. Again, it was something that I knew, like I knew I wanted to be in business for myself. So I was always trying to create. I did the whole, 5 to 7 a.m., 7 to 11 p.m. side hustle thing,
Yeah.
Because I knew, okay, I need to impact at scale because that will lead to the income that will allow me to afford the lifestyle and the future that I want to create for the people I love. So yeah, yes, the trip had something to do with it, but it was already in motion. The trip just allowed me to pull the trigger.
Cool. Yeah. So then, so what was the first thing that you invested in yourself? Because investing in yourself is something that could be scary for a lot of people. A lot of people don't do it, right? Like there is scary, and I get it because, like you think of investing into real estate, like it's like something really tangible, right? That you'll get a return on your investment on, but like it doesn't compare, like the return on an investment that you can get on a real estate deal or a stock market or whatever doesn't compare with the return on investment that you can get by investing in yourself. And like the reason most people don't do it is because they don't believe that that investment will be worth it, right? Like they don't believe in themselves. So how much, like what was your first investment, man? How much was it? And like what cost for you to do it?
Yeah. So the first decent, I would call it decently sizable investment, like first 4-figure investment was in Cardone University with Grant Cardone.
Cool.
I had done stuff before that, but like lower ticket courses or like, the flight to go to a seminar or something like that. But first $1,000 investment was with Cardone University. And then probably within the next 2 years, then I started getting into the coaching game. I hired my first business coach. That was a high 4-figure investment. Then I hired my speaking coach and got a lot of these blueprints, started to build the business. Once I left corporate, I finally joined my first mastermind, which is a multi 5-figure investment. So like it kind of just started from there.
Cool. So, man, so high performance, I don't know. I mean, I feel like, because I'm very passionate about high performance, because high performance mindset, like I used to call high performance mindset coach. I used to call myself that because like that was the vehicle that I found to like fulfill what I wanted to do with like the modern gentleman. And I'm very passionate about that. But what am I trying to say? I don't know, man. So I feel like a lot of people like don't know why they would invest in high performance. Like they don't even know what it is. So like, what do you say?
That's why we work with sales pros, right? Because we can directly correlate high performance to an increase in sales volume. But I think first of all, it's important for us to define it, right? Like what is actually high performance? Because it's kind of a buzzword nowadays. And like some people think it's just only in the business world, right? Or some people think it's only in the gym, and both of them are really important parts of this major vehicle that we're creating. But how we define it is simply like exceeding average results, like exceeding standard norms consistently and sustainably, right?
Cool.
Over the long term, right? So the running joke when I was growing up, and it was like, by the time you can afford the car, you can't fit in it, right? Because you get fat while you're building the business and building the wealth or something. Like that's not high performance. Okay. For me, it's building this well-oiled machine that's firing on all cylinders and is thriving in all areas of life, not at the expense of your relationships or your health, right? But doing it all together. So yeah, sure. All of our clients come to us because they want to make more money. That's fine. We do that, but they're not doing it at the expense of their health or their relationships. Okay. And to be honest, I tell every single person that's enrolling in our programs, like, yeah, sure, we're going to make more money because we're going to aim it there, right? We're going to aim this high performance stuff at your business. But I promise you that won't be the transformation. Like we work with a lot of solar guys, a lot of roofing guys, like, cool. Those deals are super lucrative. Depending on where you're selling, like average solar deal is usually $4,000 to $6,000 a deal. Right? And you should be doing at least 4 or so a month. People make really good money in that industry, but I promise you, closing an extra deal or 2 per month, bro, that's not going to change the game. Of course, more money is going to give you more options. It'll give you a little less stress, but it will not be the true transformation. That will only happen in what I call the life stuff, right? So we make sure to prioritize that as well. Time unplugged from everybody so you could fill your cup and make sure that you could fill everybody else's from your overflow, right? Or, non-negotiable date night with your partner, or making sure that you're calling your folks, or like connecting with loved ones on a consistent basis. Like when you build non-negotiables around that stuff, dude, that's what shifts your world. So it's about lifting both together. But again, we just aim it towards this very lucrative vehicle that is commission sales, specifically in the door-to-door realm, so our clients can make more money and help more people
and be more successful, happy, and fulfilled, right? Because
Bingo.
like once you get the money, man, you'll be left with problems that money can solve, right? Which is like your health, your like unhappiness, unfulfillment, problems with your relationship, and like all this stuff that, yeah, you might have a lot of money, but then like you don't feel good. Like you don't feel good. So like you said, 2 or 3 more deals are not going to make the difference. And I really like that, because a lot of entrepreneurs think that they have business problems when the reality is that they have personal problems reflecting in their business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that?
Yeah. What's interesting, and this is tough, right? When you're dealing with like business owners or like alpha sales people, like it's almost always a mindset thing. And this is what's really interesting for us, because I've never knocked doors in my life, and I'm very transparent about that. I was just speaking at a big conference in Utah, and the first slide in my presentation was that scene from 8 Mile, right, where Eminem's in that rap battle and he just throws all of his insecurities and flaws out, and then the guy has nothing to come back at him, right?
Yeah.
And I literally told everybody, like, hey, cat's out of the bag. I've never knocked doors in my life. I've been in sales for close to 2 decades, which makes me sound really freaking old when you say that. But like, it's the reality, right? Probably longer than that if you count the duct tape wallet stuff. I've been in sales for a while, so I can speak to that, but that's not what we're promising here. We're promising systems and high performance, right? And everyone thinks that, oh, I just need to know exactly what to say in sales. But that's not it. Sales is a transfer of emotion, right? And emotion is just energy in motion. So you could say the right things at the right time to the right person with the right facial expressions and the right tonality, and all these things can be right. But if your energy's off, if you're coming out of scarcity, that deal's not going to close, right? We always hear talking about like detaching from the outcome, right? If you're so hell-bent on, I need to close this deal, that prospect's going to feel that. Doesn't matter if you say the right stuff. So I say that to illustrate, it's usually the intangible stuff. It's usually the intangible stuff that yields the most results. And what's interesting is it almost always comes back to a mindset stuff. I look back at the most horrific sales slumps I've ever had in my life. I had one of them last year, massive dry spell. It was a mindset thing.
You probably had all those scripts, you probably had the system, you probably knew what to say, how to do it, but something was holding you back. So what was it?
All mindset. It was all mindset work. What I realized is, for me specifically, I got to a point where I realized, wow, I never went back and I never rebuilt the visualizations, right? I never rewrote the business plan. I had hit all the targets. Everything in my previous visualizations had come to life, right? For me specifically, my visualization was talking about making a certain amount of money per month. Had already accomplished that 6 months prior. It was about having a nice watch on my wrist, had already accomplished that. Having a nice meal with my girlfriend, now fiance, in Portugal, had already done that and far exceeded it, right? I never rebuilt it. So subconsciously, I didn't have anything to work towards.
Yeah.
And I'm over here spinning my wheels and I'm like, what the heck is going on? So that's how it showed up for me specifically. And then I had to go back to the drawing board. I had to rewrite the business plan. I had to develop a new visualization. It was a new revenue target, a different watch. Like, watches are trophies for me, but insert whatever's actually important, right, to you. It was a different location, a different experience with my fiance, a different home. Like, all of this stuff was how I was tracking it, how I was keeping score. I had to rebuild all of the above. And when I did that, and then I started to kind of rebuild all of these things, and I paired that with the right support, cool, I could start to chip away at this stuff. But it wasn't tactical. And the stuff that was tactical, it was off because it was preceded with the wrong mindset and the wrong intention.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
It does, man. Well, for me, right? But like people that are listening, they're probably thinking, well, I don't have a visualization. Like, how do you do that? Right. So I mean, it does make sense, man, because like I'm into like the high performance mindset world, and I've learned a lot about it. And it totally makes sense. So like for anyone out there asking or like that doesn't visualize themselves achieving their goals, like can you maybe talk a little bit more? Like, why would you visualize your goals? Why does it work? Right.
Yeah. So listen, by no means am I an expert in this stuff, right? I would defer to all the tons of self-help and personal development books.
Hey, sorry for the interruption. I just wanted to tell you that this podcast has completely changed my life in ways that you could never imagine, and I would like the same for you. Look, you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, and the fastest way for you to level yourself up in every area of your life is for you to connect with people who are where you want to be, build relationships with them, and connect with them. The best way for you to do that right now in the digital age is for you to start your own podcast. And I just wanted to let you know that I have a free training that you can get free access to. It's called the 30-day Net Worth Skyrocketing 3-step podcast cloak track framework. And it's going to show you how you can start and automate everything in your podcast, from finding your ideal guest, getting them on an interview with you, and creating an automated content machine in just 30 days. By executing on this free training, you're going to be able to connect with high-level people, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem, in just 30 days with less than 1 to 2 hours per week, so that you can increase your net worth, your authority, your trust, your client acquisition ability, and your opportunity. So there's a special link for this free training in the description of this video. Thank you for watching and tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of this episode. Bye-bye.
That have talked about these things, but you know, the common theme seems to be, I think it was what's the name of this book? There's like a little pamphlet book. It's like Diamonds in the something. I can't remember. I'll find it afterwards and maybe I'll DM it to you. But basically what it talks about is you have to live in the dream home in your mind before it manifests in reality, right? And that's essentially what we're doing here. Every thought, As a Man Thinketh talks about this all the time. I keep this literally on my desk every single day. And, you know, it's like, okay, well, the thoughts are the seedlings of reality. So we need to plant those seeds, and then we need to, you know, do all of the work to bring it to life. People want to talk about law of attraction. They think it's some woo-woo hippy dippy stuff. No, you plant the seed and then it gets followed by the law of action, right? But it starts with the thought. So, you know, I keep it super simple. I have a visualization of like, cool, the new home that we want to buy, right? And like what it's going to look like, cheersing with my wife, you know, we'll be married by that point, right? Like I visualize my wedding ring. I visualize what I'm wearing, what Michelle has on her finger, like how my dog is running around in the backyard. I know where the pool is. I know where the shed is. I know where it's going to go down to the lake, right? To a dock down there. Like that's what's important to me. And as I'm kind of running through this in my mind and really planting those seeds, I'm repeating in my head, like, I'm so happy and grateful that like whatever is most important for me, the biggest focus right now is building this vehicle that is our business, where we're changing countless lives. We're hitting revenue targets, which is only a byproduct of the impact, right? And that's what's affording the lifestyle for the people I love. So I'm just going through that in my head. I do that every single day. This morning, you know, I was in the jacuzzi after my workout, and I was closing my eyes and just going through that over and over again while I'm doing some post-workout recovery, right? That's how it works for me. By no means am I an expert, but that's the simplest stuff. It's like we're planting the seeds. And when you plant those seeds, all of a sudden the opportunities to bring the stuff to life gets very, very clear and very apparent. So
it's crazy, man. Like, and just how like visualizing everything that you want works, like not doing it also works to give you all the things that you don't want, because everything is always happening in your subconscious mind, right? And like the only difference is whether you're intentional about it and you do it positively or you're not, right? And like you're getting programmed, because we're all getting programmed. We don't have a choice whether we're going to be programmed or not. We're programmed by society, our parents, other people, where the news. How we are programmed is our choice, right? So like we can choose to be programmed in a way that will get us to our goals, right? Which is something that you choose to do every single day. You program yourself, you program your subconscious mind to get to make you go to like the things that you want, to make you like go and achieve everything that you want. And I love that, man. And so right now, so visualizing, I just want to like, they came to my mind, so I just want to say it. Visualization is all about like imagination, which is like the number one God-given trait that we have, imagination, right? And right now, man, like, you know, like the new babysitters of kids, and this is way off topic, but like the new babysitters for kids are like iPads and their phones, right? And it's really bad, man. I was talking about this with my mom because like the way she is raising my sister is by giving her an iPad. She's like 1 years of age, man, and she literally has an iPad for like hours in the day. And like I was talking about this with her, that the number one trait we have, the number one God-given trait we have is imagination, and how like having a kid whose like main thing is imagination, like their imagination when you're a kid, it's firing it at all cylinders, right? Like you're just wanting to think and explore and have curiosity. But like by having him in front of an iPad, it's literally like delegating their imagination to something else. So instead of them producing, right, like imagining things, like their imagination is turned off and they're just consuming, which is really bad, man. And I just wanted to throw that in. But now, like, what I want to jump to, man, is, well, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I think it depends how we're using the tools, right? Like where my mind is going is, okay, well, we can't neglect the rapid growth of technology and how it will be an inevitable part of our lives moving forward. But it depends how we use it, right? Like it's not about the tool, it's about how the tool is used. So if it's purely for consumption and we're just like feeding children ideas, okay, yeah, that's probably not great. But I look at how I was raised, and it's like, okay, just go out and play. Like, okay, we had to like build a soccer field, or like put a shoe next to a tree so there's like a goal, right? Or like something like that. Cool. If there are tools and ways that we can use the iPad to still foster that creativity and still foster that intentional like production and imagination, then it's probably effective. But again, it comes back to how we use the tools.
Yeah.
Right. I think most people are just delegating parenting. And again, I don't have kids, so like completely ignorant opinion on my end, but like that's how I see it. It's like, to your point, it is just consumption. And I can't imagine that that's very effective, but what do I know?
So man, high performance. So like I have 7 pillars. I want to take like, I want to see what your take on this is. It's clarity, energy, drive, courage, right? Like these first 4 pillars of high performance determine if you take action. Then the next 3 are discipline, focus, and consistency. Consistency, discipline, and focus, in that order. Consistency, discipline, and focus. So clarity, energy, drive, and courage, right? That determines if you take action. And then once you have clarity, which is like the foundation for everything, in my opinion, you'll be a high performer. You'll want to be a high performer because you know what you want, you know where you're going, you know who you are. And then it will all come down to how effectively you take action, which comes to like your discipline, your consistency, and your focus. So like that's what I talk about. Those are the 7 pillars that I talk about. So like, what about you, man? Like,
very similar. Yeah. So always starts with clarity. It's the cornerstone habit. So I 100% agree with that.
And
right?
why?
Clarity is like that.
Because clarity, like, is something that a lot of people are missing. Right? Like people do not have clarity.
Well, it goes to the intentionality piece that you were talking about earlier. Like most people are getting in the backseat of the Uber without giving the driver the destination and hoping they get there. Like hoping they get where they want to go. And I think people are going to be really freaking upset and really freaking hurt when they don't get there, especially with what's happening in the world right now, right? We don't need to get political, but like economy not going very well. Inflation through the roof, like things are really difficult right now, and they will continue to be very difficult. And I was thinking about that this morning. Like my fiance's cousin, I had a call with him yesterday for one of his class projects. He's studying entrepreneurship right now. And he asked me, what are the most 3 important things that you need to develop? And the third one that I came up with was like, you have to fall in love with adversity. And this is a really generic concept. And you can attach this to participation trophies. You can attach this to helicopter parenting. You can attach it to the bubble wrap society, or like making everyone feel good. I'm all about making everyone feel included in all these things. But if we don't like, if we don't give people that experience of like actually going through adversity, when life punches them in the throat, they will buckle. Right? So for me, it all comes together. We need to be intentional with what we want. When things don't go the way we need to, we need to be able to understand how to grow through that and develop that thick skin. Because otherwise, like, we're going to continue to see massive struggle for people. But rant over, back to the clarity. It's that intentionality, right? We need to get back in the freaking driver's seat and understand that when we're in the driver's seat, it elevates all of the importance. We have to take more responsibility. If stuff goes wrong, it's on us. That's that adversity that we're talking about. But that's what clarity is. It's that intentionality and getting super clear on what we want, what it's going to take to get there, how we need to show up, who we need to surround ourselves with, what skills we need to develop, all those things. Better questions equals better answers. Clarity is the ability to ask those questions.
Cool. And so let's say that you have clarity, right? You know what you know where you are, you know what you want, you know who you must become to get there. You've done all the work, right? So like now, if you want to become a high performer, what would be the next step?
Next pillar for me is energy, right? That one's pretty straightforward. It's like, hey, now we know what we want. Now we need to show up powerfully, because we can't execute without the energy, right? If there's nothing in the gas tank, you're not moving that supercar anywhere. It's like the most cliche metaphor that we have. Ferrari in the driveway, nothing in the gas tank, you're not getting anywhere. Energy is that gasoline. Energy is that fuel. So how do we take care of our body? And energy, for everybody listening, like, if you're this way, don't feel bad about it, because I was as well. Energy does not mean going out and consuming something externally and being dependent. It does not mean relying on Starbucks. It does not mean always drinking energy drinks or always drinking pre-workout. That doesn't mean they're not effective tools. Dude, yeah, I had Starbucks as well. Like, it doesn't mean they're not effective tools. It means that we do not need to be dependent. And this was really challenging for me to understand when I first entered this space, because I came from two worlds that were wildly stimulant driven. Okay. The first one was software engineering. The running joke was literally you turn coffee into code, right? The language that I started my career in was called Java. So you do the math on that one, right? Like, very, very, it was always like 3 p.m., 3 p.m. slump. And like, you got the itis kicking in from a big lunch, but you got a lot of code to write. Like, you got to hit Starbucks. Okay. And then the other world was the fitness industry. I was a competitive powerlifter for 4.5 years after college, after my competitive athletic career ended with soccer. And, it was like, okay, well, I got to do a 5 a.m. squat session. Like, you got to dry scoop pre-workout, right? Like, that's just the world that you live in. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with those things in moderation. Like, those tools are very effective, but they are tools. They are not dependencies, and we need to make sure we're not building that dependency. So we use it to supplement, but how do we take care of this vehicle to make sure that we're generating as much energy as possible? Okay. I had no idea that you could toggle your energy purely with how you breathe, right? Things like breath scaling or things like meditation. You have tools to ramp up and then also to cool back down. All of it comes down to being intentional with your breathing. I had no idea that that stuff existed. And then obviously, I know that this is a huge pillar for you, so you get this, but I'll share this for everyone listening, Alex, is like, there are some rules of thumb that we need to make sure that we're taking care of, especially in this entrepreneurial world that is kind of like puffing your chest out about like how little sleep you can get because you're grinding and you're hustling. Like, sleep is important. Hydration is important. Exercise and movement is important. Meditation is important. That one's a tough one, because if you don't like the word meditation and that triggers you, cool, call it breathing, but still do it, because the science says that it's very effective, right? Yeah. Call it whatever you got to do, just freaking do it. So all of these rules of thumb, this is just, again, it's about building this well-oiled machine. Okay, so that's the next thing. We got to generate the energy. That doesn't mean shotgunning a bang. Anyone in the door-to-door sales game that's listening to this, that you've done it, right? The running joke is like, show me you're in door to door without telling me that you're in door to door. And it's like a photo of all the empty energy drink cans in the trunk of the car, right? While people are on a blitz or whatever. And again, like, dude, to each their own. I love caffeine as well, but it's a tool and we need to use it appropriately. So that's the next pillar. That's the next step.
Awesome. And I love how you mentioned like the vehicle, right? Like you have one vehicle, which is your body, which you got to make sure to optimize to be able to like, so that it performs at an elite level. Like that's the only thing that you have. That vehicle, you're stuck with it for the rest of your life. So take care of it, right? And make sure that it's full of the right energy and that you have all those tactics and strategies and high performance systems to make sure that that vehicle is full of the right energy. So, man, and then I see on the back, hack your fear, live your dream. And like the next pillar for me, or one of the pillars is like courage. Courage is just taking action despite of fear. Right? Yep. Fear is false evidence appearing real. So what do you mean with hack your fear and live your dream?
Yeah. So first program I ever created when I entered this coaching space about 5 years ago was, it was a program called Fear Hacking Academy. Now, Fear Hacking Academy is, it's still a lot of the structure of what we do today with our clients in the results engine. But, essentially here's what like perplexed me, right? Decisions, I think we can all agree that the reality that we're living in is sculpted by the decisions we make and the actions we take, right? So if we look at those decisions, because the actions we take,
I'm sorry to interrupt. It's true, but it's hard to accept for most people. It's true, but it's hard to accept.
Well, that's the responsibility part, right? And it's confronting because it's easier for us to deflect blame, but our lives, we don't get from the back seat into the driver's seat without taking that accountability, without taking that responsibility and having the personal agency, right? Which is unfortunately really challenging and confronting, but I promise you, your life won't change for the better until you do, at least not consistently and sustainably, right? So when we really boil into that decision-making process, if we want to understand how that works, because we need to understand how that works in order to shift our reality. If we want different results, we have to make different decisions. So if we really boil that down, we understand that decisions are emotional. They're not logical, right? Now, if we boil down that emotional tendency, what we understand and what we really start to figure out is, there's two major drivers. We're either seeking pleasure, okay, we're running towards the pot of gold, or we're avoiding pain. We're running away from the burning building. Okay. Yeah. Now, because of how our 2,000-year-old brain works, because again, it has one job, and that's to keep us safe, right? Avoiding pain is far more powerful. So for me, that is synonymous with fear, right? Fear, we're afraid of something because we are avoiding potential pain. So what really, really perplexed me, Alex, is this is the most powerful force in the process that legitimately dictates our reality. And if I say the word fear, anyone listening to this, I want you to audit where your thoughts go. What do you associate with the word fear? Well, most people are going to say fear of public speaking, fear of heights, loud noises, spiders, snakes, whatever it is, stuff that paralyzes us. So why are we only getting paralyzed by the most powerful force in the decision-making process, which we have determined dictates our reality? Why are we not leveraging this force?
And how do you do it?
Well, it's by manufacturing a different type of fear.
Cool.
Right? So think about it this way. We can either get paralyzed by a fear of, call it fear of getting rejected, right? Fear of rejection. We don't want people to say no. Or we can manufacture a fear that's like, I'm a big fan of reverse bets, right? So basically you're betting against your future self, right? So at one point early in my career, I wrote a $2,000 check to the Dallas Cowboys because I don't like the Cowboys. I basically grew up in Giant Stadium. My grandfather played for the Giants, like pre-World War II leather helmet type stuff. Like, yeah, I don't like the Cowboys. Okay. So I wrote that check. $2,000 was a very uncomfortable amount of money for me at the time. And I sent that to my buddy, Max. He lives in Erie, Pennsylvania. And I said, Max, if I don't do everything that I say I'm going to do for the next 12 weeks, well, you have permission to send this to the Cowboys. Okay. Now, what happens then? all of a sudden the fear of rejection is no longer valid. It's been trumped by a bigger fear. The bigger fear is losing a wildly uncomfortable amount of money, and not just losing that money, but going to an organization that I hate.
Yeah.
That's the driver in the decision making all of a sudden, right? It's no longer seeking the pleasure of sitting on the couch on a Sunday evening watching football and having a beer. It's like, no, I need to get my non-negotiables done, because if I don't, well, I'm losing that money. That's how we leverage it, right? Is my world going to be over if I lose that money? Like, no, it's going to really suck, but my world's not going to be over. I'm manufacturing a fear that's driving the actions and the decisions that I know I need to be taking. That's essentially what it is in a nutshell. There's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes, but that's the spark notes. And that's an example. There's a website called stick.com. I think it has 2 Ks. You can do these reverse bets. Heck, like, we live in a very politically divided world. Like, we had clients pledging money towards like campaigns that they didn't believe in, type of thing. Like, sometimes that will stoke enough emotion. Like, do whatever you want, but reverse bets are a really powerful tool. And yeah,
Man, we're almost out of time, and I want to ask you 5 questions to end this episode. But
sure.
Before I do that, I just wanted to mention that one of the ways I got over my fear of speaking in front of a camera, because I literally used to sweat and shake when I was speaking in front of the camera, and it was for various reasons, right? Like fear of rejection, fear of being judged, fear of what be goop the good opinion of other people, and fear of failure, whatever, right? And one of the ways that I got over that was because I knew that being in camera, making videos was going to be one very important thing that will take me to what I wanted, success, right? So one of the things that I did is I was clear about what I wanted. I had clarity about my desired future, my pleasure, right? So now I reversed that and turned it into what's the complete opposite of that, right? So this was my pain, pleasure, pain, and what was the opposite of being rich, successful, happy, and fulfilled? I got clear on that. And now, not only was I motivated to go towards the pleasure, I was also motivated to run away from the pain. And I would visualize myself doing videos and connecting that with, with achieving my pleasure. And I would visualize myself not doing videos, being as soon as about to make a video and be like, no, you know what? I won't do it. I would visualize myself doing that. And then I would connect that with, oh, I'm going to end up here, which is the pain. Yeah. Right. And that's how I got over my pain, man. And it was pretty cool. It worked really well for me as well. So
it's a powerful tool.
Yeah. So man, the first question that I want to ask you is around what piece of advice would you give your 20-year-old self if you could? Not change your life or redo anything, just give your 20-year-old self some advice. What would that be?
Read the book Profit First and start allocating funds into untouchable accounts.
Awesome, man. Profit First. Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank
by
you
Mike Michalowicz. Yeah, phenomenal book. Whether you're running a business or not, it's changed how we run the finances in our business. But yeah, I would have 1,000% done that on the personal life as well. And made sure to divvy those funds elsewhere. It changes how you view your money psychologically.
And then Go Giver is also an excellent book. My mentor also says that the best book ever, and he'll jump on a call with you to discuss that. So yeah, man, awesome. So awesome for those 2 recommendations. The next question is around mindset. And what is one mindset shift that you can share that has allowed you to get to where you are right now in your life?
Mindset shift. I guess it's probably simple that I'm about to try and make it, but for me, it's probably as simple as just really diving into the fact that perpetual curiosity is the most important skill set that you can develop as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, right? Question everything and explore. You're not questioning it this is a very controversial topic right now with what's going on in the world, but critical thinking, I think, is gone. Question everything, not because you don't believe in something, but because it's important to search for different answers and to really get understanding of what's going on. Build that mindset of questioning everything, exploring things, get curious about different skill sets, get curious about how things work, because Yeah, just wildly important. Asking
Cool.
questions is very, very powerful.
We've outsourced our critical thinking, right? Like instead of us having the curiosity to go and look for the answer, we've outsourced that to Google or whatever else it is, right? Or someone tells
Instagram.
us, yeah, or someone tells us something and we like instantly accept it as truth, right?
Yeah.
So
It's not
awesome,
the
man.
truth, it's their truth. It's a
Yeah,
very
exactly.
powerful distinction.
Awesome. So the next question is mindset map clarity, man. So talking about clarity. So what is one tactic, tool, or strategy that you use to have clarity in your life?
Yeah. I guess we can stem off of that curiosity and questions-based thinking. So one thing that one of my mentors told me early on is whenever you come up with a problem, immediately generate 3 options, immediately generate 3 solutions for it. It doesn't matter how good or bad those options are. We want to wire ourselves to thinking in a problem or problem solving type of way, solutions oriented, right? So that helps us get clarity around what the next steps are. So
Yeah.
yeah, that would be it.
And I would add that it helps you put yourself into motion instead of like victim and being victimized by the problem. You put
Yeah.
yourself into motion, and then through motion, through taking action, you'll find the clarity that you need to like keep on moving forward. So the next question is mindset map motion. What is one habit that you have that has contributed to your success?
To pick one.
You can give me 2 or 3 if you want.
One, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily a habit, but like I've gotten pretty great at surrounding myself with amazing people and, making sure to show up for those communities. So that would be my habit, is like relentlessly investing in myself and my community and my network. And it's put some amazing people in my world. And those people have been instrumental to our growth as a company, and to just, I mean, many of those people are going to be at my wedding, right? Like they've become dear friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be it.
That's awesome. Same. I'm part of like a mastermind that, people have to pay a huge amount of money to be part of, but like in there are people that I can call friends, man. And never in my life had I experienced that. Right.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. And
I
then
talk to my friends from my mastermind more than I talk to people that I grew up with.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
even though I live like in the same town as them.
Yeah. So man, the last question is mindset map motion measure. So tracking and measuring. Like, can you give me your takes on that? Tracking and measuring.
Yeah, you can't manage what you don't measure. So I'm an engineer by trade. We're very data driven. So a lot of the work we do with all of our clients, we're literally mapping out non-negotiables, and everything is quantifiable. Okay. You need to track those. So figure out whatever the most important KPIs are in your life, right? If you're in sales, figure out what every single step of your sales flow is and track all of it, right? If it's just your personal life, cool. How many, let's use workouts for an example. Like, what is your workout program going to look like? If you can afford to hire a coach, they'll help you build it, right? And then you'll have your sets, your reps, you'll understand what your macros are. Like, you need to track these things. It's legitimately, was that your notepad? It was blurry, but you have all of your stuff mapped out.
My workout, right? Like my every exercise, my sets, how much weight I use in every set,
exactly,
week by week. Yeah.
You need to map these things out, and you need to track them. If you don't track them, you will never see your progress, right? And if you never see your progress, you can't celebrate your wins. You are going to burn out. So you have to track these things. And always track it based on, if you're tracking your, like for goals, like we do everything based on your output, not the outcome. You don't always control the outcome, but you always control how you show up. Okay. So for example, for our clients, how many doors are you knocking, or how many phone calls are you making? How many sets or reps are you doing in the gym? How many calories are you consuming? Right. Those are all within your control. So that's what we track most specifically. But yeah, data, my coach says, all data, no drama, right? We make decisions based on data, not based on how we feel.
Emotion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and one of the things that you said, right? You won't be able to see your progress, and it will cause you to like get emotional, think you're not making progress, and make decisions that do not have to be made based on emotion instead of actual data.
dude, we get all up in our feelings, and our feelings are liars most of the time, right? Show me the data, and then we can actually, then we can get curious. We can figure out, is the data actually stagnating? Why is it stagnating? Why are the results not going where we want? Because odds are you're probably either not tracking the things properly, or there's something that you're not seeing. And if we don't have the data, we'll never find that bottleneck.
Exactly.
Right. So yeah.
Awesome, man. That was very valuable, man. So if I'm wanting to become, a high performer, I'm wanting to like increase my sales by 30% or more in less than 60 days, or whatever, man. Maybe I'm just out of energy and I need to like drink a ton of caffeine by like 12 p.m. And I want to know more about you, where should I go?
Yeah. Instagram is our main hub. Mike Szczesniak on Instagram. Beware of all the crypto scammers. So fun fact for everybody, if you want to know if it's a fake profile, that everyone is being faked right now, trying to peddle like a bunch of crypto scams, scroll through, look at the engagement, see if every single post was posted within the last 3 days. Usually a good indication. But Mike Szczesniak, you'll probably have to link that up. That's our main hub. Feel free to slide in the DMs with any questions that you have. Either myself or my team are in there most of the day. We'll get you an answer. And then, we also run a podcast if people want to dive into that, interview-based, a lot of value. Yeah, cool. Results Engine podcast. So that's those are the two main places.
Awesome, man. We'll put everything, all the links and all of that for your stuff wherever this appears. Go give Mike a follow. Incredible guy, incredible content. And man, just to go back to the thing that you said, the habit, right? Of like connecting with people, surrounding yourself with high level people. I think that is the number one thing that you can do as an entrepreneur, that we like spend too much time not doing it for some reason. Maybe we think we're going to waste time or whatever. I don't know. But one of the things that has changed my life is this podcast, right? So I've gone on, like I've talked to like literally 3 or 4 high-level entrepreneurs, very successful every single day. And the biggest benefits, it's like my change in my identity, my confidence, and believing in myself. So surrounding yourself with other people is definitely one of the most important things that you can do. And to help the listeners do that, I'm going to like drop a link for the Mike Szczesniak episode, just for the Mike. It's a special link for the Mike Szczesniak episode to like, for anyone that wants to like start and grow and launch from A to C, a free training on how to like start, grow a multi-million-dollar network building podcast. So yeah, just wanted to throw that in. Thank you very much for being here, man. I really appreciate it. And thank you. Have an awesome day.
Thanks for having me, Alex. I enjoyed this.
Thank you for watching the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms